I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate, and it does it with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb is a retired Navy veteran. Barb Schlinker is an author. Barb is a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday right after Larry Kudlow. If you can't listen to the entire show, you're driving around, or just don't have time, always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com. Or go ahead and search Barb on most of the podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. She's easy to find. So, Barb, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, it's been really interesting for me to research the market stats right now because it really depends on what area you live in. So as an example, the Colorado Springs, El Paso County area, the prices haven't really surged that much. They're relatively flat. But if you just go north of county line in Douglas County and all the Denver areas, the prices are going up pretty good, almost 8, 9%. So it's really interesting how it's different depending on where you are. So we're going to talk about whether or not the Colorado Springs real estate market is going to bounce back in 2024, particularly in this area. And then the next topic we're going to cover are the top first-time home seller questions when you sell a home in Colorado. It's kind of surprising even to me. It's so easy when you're in the business doing the same, that kind of work all the time, that it's sometimes it's hard to zoom out and think about, okay, they've never done this before. I got to start with the basics. And I was on an appointment with my brother, and he goes, Barb, wait, let's talk about this. So we're going to go over those first time home seller questions that should be asked and why we cover them. And then the third topic is something that comes up a lot lately, is about purchasing or selling a home with a homeowners association. So not all homes have a homeowners association. However, the ones that do, there are obligations for the seller to disclose all kinds of information. Many times that information is not available online. And there's an obligation of the buyer to take a look at that and see if they are comfortable with the rules, they call them governing documents, about a homeowners association. And one of the things that's been happening more and more lately is not only have the property taxes gone up exponentially because all of the counties in the state went and looked back 18 months and picked the absolute tippy top flying high market date of June of 2022 to assess the property taxes. So a lot of people experience not just a small increase, but sometimes double of their property taxes. So you've got that problem. And then you pile on that insurance policies, particularly if you have an attached building and you're in a homeowners association, the insurance rates overall, even single family homes, have gone up, but especially for attached buildings because there's the threat of fire. All of a sudden, they're charging a lot more for it. So we'll kind of deep dive into that. And then the very last topic is something kind of basic, and it's just sort of an educational piece about how homeownership overall beats renting over time. I know it's tough for first-time home buyers to get in the door, but I'm really impressed with the ones that are doing it. I know it's kind of a struggle. They have to have a savings, they have to manage the payments, but over time it will pay off. So we're going to talk about that. And as always, my hot new listings. Richard?
Love it. Now, Barb, with the spring selling season getting started, many people wonder what is the best month to sell their home and what's going on in the market right now.
Well, typically the selling season in the Colorado area is right now all the way through August, even September. That's when the sale prices tend to be the highest. But I actually wanted to verify that because, like last year, the prices went up from February through June after the Fed did that huge increase in interest rates the year before that. And everybody was expecting actually the prices to go down because the rates went up, but it didn't happen. And then we kind of saw a waggling of the average prices month to month. But the truth is, over time, any month is a good time to sell. In the summer, you have more competition. In the winter, you have less competition, and that's why the prices tend to surge up a bit, especially in the springtime. Like right now through probably May is a red hot period, is particularly for El Paso County because we have a lot of military moves going on. But I even researched that and found that military moves happen year round. There is a summer move season. There's also a winter move season. So it just really kind of depends. You have to really decide on what will make it work for you. Another impact of sales, and we are seeing a reduced amount of sales in the area as compared to the year before. And last year was the lowest on record in a while as far as the volume of sales. Interest rates have a huge impact, particularly for the first-time home buyers on their ability to afford the payment, but rents are high too. So they have to make a decision. Are they going to give up their money to somebody else's mortgage payment, or are they going to do it for their own? And actually, last year, there wasn't a huge correlation between interest rates and closings, which is surprising. But what we did see in last October, when the rates went over 8%, we saw kind of a rapid cool down of the market. That was my experience anyway. So what the rates are doing as of this morning, 30-year fix came down a little bit. It's at 6.87% for conventional. For VA, you can get a little bit less, 6.4%. And if you have some sort of extra cash resource, you can actually buy the interest rate down and get a lower payment. So when you are thinking of buying a home, it's always a good idea to have some extra cash available to deal with these things, not just your down payment, but plan on, okay, I'm going to buy the interest rate down a little bit. I need to have 1 to 2% of my loan closing cost. And there are some agents that will be out there telling buyers, oh, don't worry, we'll get the seller to pay it. Well, that's not always the case. I have to tell a story, Richard. I actually had a negotiations recently where the agent called and said, oh, my buyer loves the house. They're going to bring a full price offer, but they might ask for closing costs. And I thought, okay, great. And so by the time I got the offer a few hours later, do you think it was full price, Richard?
Why do I have my doubts?
Yeah, it was 30,000 below asking price, and they asked for 10,000 in closing cost. So I sat down with the seller, and the seller's like, this is just a no. We're not even going to counter. And I gave them all the option. I said, you could counter on what you will accept. And they're like, no. And I said, that's fine. It's your decision. Then I go back to the agent. I sent a nice email. Hey, thank you for your offer. The sellers decided that we're just too far apart in price. I wish you all the best, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, right away, the phone's blowing up. This is on a Sunday. Ring, ring, ring. Oh my God, oh my God. She goes, work with me here. Give me a number. What will they take? Now, and I know I cannot disclose if the seller's willing to accept less. That's like hard coded into our agreements. Did you know that, Richard?
I did not, but knowing that you always look at this as a fiduciary relationship, which is as serious as it gets, your loyalty is to your client, not to somebody else.
Yeah. So the conversation kind of got worse as it went on. She goes, well, how come they wouldn't counter? And I said, that's what they decided to do. I did sit down with them. I presented it, and that their answer is no. And she goes, well, that's not how real estate works. You're supposed to send me a counter proposal. That's negotiating. So she's given me schooling on negotiating. And that I actually thought it was funny. I wasn't offended by it, but it was just really humorous to me. And I explained to her, I said, I appreciate it, but at the end of the day, the seller tells me what they want to do. They are the decision maker, and that's the decision that they made. And she's like, well, I don't want to come back again and again and again and write all these offers, which, by the way, it takes 10 minutes to write an offer. It's not difficult. it's less than 2 minutes to copy over and change the price. It's not difficult. So I don't know why it would just really bother her to do that to get her buyer the house, but I wasn't asking her to do that. It was just that we were too far apart in what she presented. And when I asked her, I said, hey, our asking price is 700. You said it was going to be full price and you came in at, it was 699. You came at 669. Is that a typo? She goes, no, that was another house. And so
My God.
my immediate thought was this agent's, because she did tell me she'd been out there showing multiple properties to this buyer. Perhaps this agent was doing what I call shotgunning offers, where we'll do an offer here and an offer there, and which one ever gives us the best deal, we'll just go with that, right? And if I were the seller, I wouldn't take my house off the market for somebody doing that. So when I got her on the phone, I confronted her with that. She goes, oh no, this is the only offer we wrote. And I'm like, well, you told me it was going to be full price and it wasn't. And she goes, oh, the buyer thought the price was reduced. And I'm like, no, just I don't know what she was thinking. But anyway, it was kind of funny. And then she tried to pull the broker card on me. Well, I've been a broker. I'm a broker. And she tried to pull out the experience card to try to intimidate me, to try to get information from me. And I'm like, oh, really? You're not really going there, are you? Come on. So I gave her some of my credentials and said, look, at the end of the day, you don't write my job description. The seller does. This is their response. If your buyer's still interested, great, have them bring another offer. And they did. And then we got it under contract. But it was just so funny how this agent was trying to tell me what for about how to negotiate. I got a big kick out of it.
Get off track here, but it sounds to me like somebody just thinks, boom, a client, and then all of a sudden they get their commission. You work for your commission, and you work really, really hard.
Well, I work for someone else. I work for the seller, right? And so it's their decision. I cannot sign on the dotted line for them. They're the ones making the call about whether or not they're going to accept an offer or not. And sometimes I've had some sellers accept an offer lower than what I thought they should accept. But if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do, right? I am not the one that makes that call. I can give them a good idea on what the market is doing, but I certainly can't decide for them. And I think that some agents kind of think it's okay, to do that. But at the end of the day, I think there's a really big um, void of training in the industry on things like negotiation. And in fact, in that case, by basically rejecting that offer, it was a form of negotiation. It made them want it more, in my view. What do you think?
I would think so. And I'm just a layperson. You've had a couple of decades of experience. I would trust you absolutely. That's why I recommend you, Barb.
Well, anyway, that's what we do. We help sellers and buyers, but I can sit down with anybody that's interested in making a move and go over the whole process with them, and they will get good information about where to go from there. And that's what I like to pride myself on, is making sure that they fully understand what's going on and they make the call, and that's okay. And that's the way I like to do it. And that way there's no surprises, because it's hard enough to do this. It's not like you're selling a car or something. It's quite a process. A lot of the buyers do have all these, what I call off ramps or ability to bail out, yet the seller's property is tied up for that entire time. So it really is important that when you're sitting down with the seller, whether it's an offer or even at the first meeting, we're talking about what are all the landmines that could get in the way of getting them to the finish line. And we talk about that every step of the way. My name's Barb Schlinker with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. If you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to get a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale, we'll give you a really good idea what your home will sell for and how much you put in your pocket when it sells. Plus, we'll show you all the buyers that we could present your home to, including our exclusive buyers in waiting, our buyers on Zillow and Realtor.com, our citywide buyer agent network buyers, our cash buyers, and include all of our great programs, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program. I'm Richard Randall. I sit in with her. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the top mistakes people make when they're selling your Colorado home. Stay tuned for that.